He's prepared to admit that running a political party is not like running a company. It doesn't suit him. He hasn't enjoyed it very much. But we ought to reflect that Malcolm Pearson has been in the House of Lords for over 20 years. He's campaigned on things from the European Union through to mental health issues, and we're lucky to have people like him in public life.
Yeah, but being in the House of Lords perhaps does not necessarily equip you for running a political party.
No, and that's exactly what he's saying, and that's why he's decided the general election's over and it's time for him to stand aside. He'll still support the party in every way, but for UKIP to have a contest and to choose a new leader.
With due respect, there were certain things during the election campaign. I mean, at one point he didn't seem too clued up on the manifesto. Do you think...
Well, let's just get that right. I mean, our manifesto was a 21-page document, but... where Lord Pearson had difficulty was with our policy papers, which were published on our website. They ran to hundreds of pages. There was nobody in UKIP that could have answered all of those questions, so it was a mistake on behalf of UKIP to publish all of those documents.
So are you sorry that he's going, or
yes,
are you relieved that he's going?
No, I'm sorry that he's going, because much as he may not have enjoyed it, he gave the party, he gave the post credibility, he gave it respectability, he was good at raising money for the party, and you know, you always knew with Malcolm that what you saw was what you got. He's a 100% honest person.
David Campbell-Bannerman has already said he plans to stand in the contest to replace Lord Pearson. What about yourself?
Well, look, I don't think today's the day to announce whether one stands or not. I think it's the day to reflect upon Malcolm Pearson and to reflect upon somebody who's put a lot into public life in this country. As far as I'm concerned, I will announce at conference in 3 weeks' time whether I'm going to run or not, and that decision will really depend on whether in the wake of the accident that I had, I feel strong enough to do the job. It's a very demanding job. It's 7 days a week. You have to work hours that you simply couldn't believe. And UKIP is full of very strong-minded individuals. It's not a very easy party to run.
Are you surprised?
Yes and no. I mean, Malcolm Pearson, can I say, is just about the most honest person I've ever met in my life. And I think his resignation statement sums up the man. You know, he's more than prepared to admit his own failings. He was somebody who'd been very successful in business. He was used to being in charge, looking at the facts, making decisions, and then it happens. Well, of course, in party politics, he didn't like that.
No, well, it doesn't happen, does it?
No, because you have to carry your own party with you. And I think he found in the general election campaign that was deeply frustrating. He's a great campaigner on causes. I mean, he's been in the House of Lords for 20 years. He campaigns on a range of issues from the European Union through to mental health. But running a party, he didn't like it, he wasn't enjoying it, and he felt it was right to go.
It's also true, isn't it, that you had a pretty wretched general election?
I don't know. I mean, let's face it, it's the first-past-the-post system is a nightmare for UKIP. As soon as we had the leaders' debates, others halved in the polls overnight. And whether it was a great result or not, I mean, we did get 50% more votes than we got in the previous general election. So there was some progress there.
Now, you had that really very nasty plane crash, which people will remember, and you were very lucky to get out of it alive, I think. Are you up to going for this again?
Well, that's the decision that I've really got to make. I have to say that my back is not all that it should be. I've certainly got to go into hospital for at least one operation between now and Christmas. And whilst I feel very well within myself, I'm conscious that I just haven't, at the moment, got the kind of work capacity that perhaps is needed. So I've got to think very long and hard between now and our conference in a couple of weeks in Torquay as to whether I'm strong enough to have a go for this again.
Sounds as if you think you're physically up to it, you wouldn't mind another go.
I think I've got to decide whether I'm physically up to it, and if I am, well, I may well throw my hat in the ring.
We've had an indication this morning that David Campbell-Bannerman MEP is going to go for it. Does that surprise you?
No. It's very early for him to announce that, but I think lots of people will fancy having a go at the job, but very few will understand just how difficult it is to run any political party, especially one like UKIP.
Well, I was going to say, I don't say this at all pejoratively, but you've got a lot of awkward customers.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, we are a party that believes in the individual, and we've got a lot of thousands of very single-minded people. It's a very difficult party to manage and run.
What's the real objective of the next leader got to be in the next 6 months or a year?
I think it's got to be to expand our base at local government level in the local elections and the Welsh Assembly elections that are coming up in May of next year. You know, we've begun to win a few council seats, and that's as a result of broadening our policy base from just talking about the EU to talking about domestic issues, and that's the next big step. To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.